No, Maura, one of the interesting features of the Olympics that we've just enjoyed for the last 2 weeks was the placement and the honoring of four of the chiefs of the First Nations people in the area of British Columbia, who were really a part and parcel of that whole event in terms of their land, in some cases being used, and many of the people volunteers. A lot of them were dancing in the opening ceremonies.
And the medals, of course.
And everything was, it was terrific. Anyway, the former Deputy Grand Chief of the Cree Nation of Quebec is here with us. His name is Kenny Blacksmith. Welcome, Kenny. Great to have you here, and we've got lots to talk about. But let me ask you right off the top, what did you think about the honoring of these four chiefs? Was this a good thing?
It was a very good thing, and you remember Jack Poole was the initial chairman of the Vancouver Olympic Committee, and he was the one that was very instrumental. He was Métis, and he really brought our people to their rightful place to be meaningful players, partners in all of these events. So not only that, you know, the recognition of for hosting First Nation communities, but it was a message to all of Canada that the First Nations, the Inuit, the Métis, had their rightful place. And it brought a lot of encouragement, it brought a lot of pride into our people, that we could just be meaningful participants and partners in this whole event. And it, you know, not just a token representation, but actually, you know, sitting down with the leaders. And when you see the four chiefs, they're sitting down with the Prime Minister, the Governor General, you know, it is like a message to our people that we are a people to people, a nation to nation, a government to government relations. And that really speaks a lot.
In your view, is the general worldview, let alone quality of life, of First Nations people or First Peoples of Canada improving? And is the culture, you know, embracing the improvement?
Well, you know, there's different levels of advancement across Canada. I can, you know, honestly say that the Cree Nation up in Quebec has done a long ways to get to where they are. And they were, you know, they recently signed a new relationship agreement with Quebec and Canada that speaks of really full partners in the economy of Quebec and in Canada. They speak about partnering in the, you know, the different projects that need to be done, not just for the government's benefit, but for First Nations. All of this stuff is bringing a level of advancement, improvement in the Native communities. You'll see more and more Native communities going that way. But not all the communities across Canada are at the same level. So yes, there is an advancement, but there's a lot more that needs to be done.
A question that occurs to me here is the whole concept of reserves. You talk about Native communities, but a lot of those are reserves.
Yes,
now, is that a vestige of the past? Is that something that has to be broken out of, or is that something you can work with? Is this a good thing for you people, or a bad thing?
Well, you know, wherever there is a protection of Aboriginal rights within the Constitution, it's a good thing. It protects us from any more damages that have been done in the past, and so. But it's a
safe community.
It's a safe community, but at the same time, it does restrict, it does constrain our people from living outside. It does, I think, yeah. You know, we always say that you know, the reservations really was another way of controlling and just harnessing our people as if as cattle, you know, in the pen, as part of the whole assimilation policy of the government. So I mean, in some ways it's good, in most ways it isn't.
So a young person growing up in a reserve today, is his goal to get off of that reserve?
I think you will find more and more young people getting into education, getting into mainstream society. You know, the challenge is, how do you support and encourage young people to do whatever it is that they have to be full, you know, members of society, and yet maintain their language and their culture, because everything comes back to the community base. You know, if we have a strong identity, if we have a way of life that is meaningful, we have to be able to balance those two out. So when the young people eventually do go out of the communities, they're equipped with all the cultural values of and the teachings of our elders, but how to honor, how to be people of, respecting others and doing everything in the right way. And land base, land base is key. You know the whole history of Israel at this point. Land is such key to identity, and I believe God placed First Peoples across this nation, Canada, in accordance to the Word of God. Acts 17, it talks about where God made all nations of men, and He determined the exact boundaries and the times.
And places that they would
So
live.
I think our people were set in place by God across this nation for a purpose, and that is to take care of Canada.
Kenny, are the Métis considered a nation?
The Métis came a long way, and they are considered a nation today, but they are a child of the First Peoples or First Nations and the non-native.
Right.
The French.
The French, and most often the Métis were not loved by either parent.
Oh.
They were ostracized, they were orphaned in our nation. And the government really tried to suppress the voice and the place of Métis people across the land, through Louis Riel. That's a history that's still something that most Métis people take great pride in. There was such a man, a leader as Louis Riel. Nowadays, Jack Poole was another hero for them, because he stood up and really made a difference to support, to have our nation recognize Métis. So if the Métis child is not loved by the First Nation mother or father, and not loved by the French mother or father, then what you have is a whole generation of orphaned children that are not loved by parents. And so many years ago, in 2006, when we brought First Nations, Inuit, and Métis together, it was to right a wrong that we ourselves did to our Métis brothers, Métis sisters in the family.
Kind of get the family restored.
We had to bring
Did you know
back
that Moira has some Métis DNA?
Yes,
My
yes, we
paternal
do.
grandfather, my paternal
Yeah.
grandfather, my father's father, was Métis from the Gaspé.
Well, now, you're placed in the right place right now to be the voice of our people.
There you go.
Wow. Wow, that just gave me a shiver. Whew.